Relationships with our friends and our family are already tough enough, right? But working with each other or being business partners can make it even more complicated in those relationships. Today on the podcast, my good friend, my best friend, Scott Leroy, comes on and he talks about how 2 times in his life, he grew 2 separate businesses with 2 of his best friends in the world. I was one of them. And his other buddy too. They were very successful. We were very successful. We went from $2 to $12 million in sales, and Scott was a big part of it. And our friendship only got better. Scotty gives us some tips and some advice on how he made that work.
How can you work for a best friend, right?
Yep.
Well, to me, it's been easier to work for a best friend with my experience as companies I worked for that I wasn't a best friend of any of them, right?
So hang on. So those, because you work for 2 of your best friends, right?
Yep.
And in 2 separate instances, you have
2 separate entities.
You have a lot of
very
experience
far
with
apart,
this.
different industries.
Yeah.
One was online gaming type space, and the other was landscaping.
Yeah.
Right. So you're talking about just 2 totally different realms of business, but the best working environments that I've enjoyed working in.
Yeah.
You know, I've enjoyed other jobs. I was a corporate recruiter for a financial company called Xanthus for 4 years. I knew the owners, wasn't friends, best friends, anything like that, but I still enjoyed parts of that job.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it as much as when I worked for people that I also cared about. Best friends, right?
So let me ask you this. So think about that. Dive down into that. Those 2 instances, there's probably some commonality. Like, what was the environment like? What was the relationship like? Or what were the attributes of those 2 situations, whether unique to each other or the similar, that made it a good thing? Because a lot of people don't want to work with their friends, honestly.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the personality. But when you have a friend and you're working for them, you never want to let a friend down, right? Yeah. So if it's, the average Joe over there, he's the owner. I don't know him out of here. I've never went and had a beer with him. I don't know what he's like. I don't even know his hobbies. Yeah, I get to see him once every monthly meeting. What's my passion? For his business that he started. Well, when it's somebody you know and you love and you trust. Yeah. You go hard for those people, right? I mean, you're not going to let your best friend down, right? That's
you see it as that's a cool perspective, Scott, because a lot of it does pose a big challenge for a lot of people to say, I don't want to hire my friend, I don't want to hire my brother or my family member, but there is some strength there.
100%. Like, I mean, you already have established a bond that you know works, and you got to know, though, that you got to be able to take constructive criticism. Yeah. Right. And when you fail, you got to know you're going to have that hard conversation. It's going to happen. In the military, I think that's one of the nice things. It's like it gave you perspective. Like you have a general, right? Whether you like what he says or not, you got to do it. Right. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You don't question it. Right. It is what it is. And in dealing with friends, it's like, hey, I know you're making the right decision. And if not, we'll sit here and we'll actually have a conversation. And at the end of the day, ultimately, you're the owner. You tell me what's right or wrong. Right. So, and I think not everybody's like that, though. Yeah. You have to be able to know yourself before getting into that situation.